What's up? Oh, fuck. Hold on.
Is that better? I was messing around with some stuff. This is hilarious.
I can do stuff like this.
And I can do stuff like this. Or if I want to cuss, I could just say.
All right. Well, that's enough farting around. Guys, what's up? Welcome to the chaos. The stock market's crazy and chaotic. I overslept my alarm this morning, so I'm a little all over the place. But you think it's Mickey Boogaloo or Snookeroo? I don't know.
I don't know what this sounds like. I can like adjust it too and turn it up, turn it down, whatever. It's hilarious. You should hear me.
Fuck with people on Xbox. It's hilarious. It's so funny. On like Call of Duty, I just do the voice changer and people are just like blown away. It's so funny. Chris Edwards says is this when you prank call people? Yeah, for sure. All right, checking out the markets right now. Actually getting on task. Things have bounced green a little bit. Obviously, it was a rough day yesterday. Everything was down around 2% as far as the indexes were concerned. Right now, the S&P is up six points. So marginally, we'll just say it's flat. Dow's up 41 points. NASDAQ's up 31. And the Russell is up 3 points. One of the big reasons why this has kind of been flat is there's a lot of anticipation on the Fed meeting minutes. We'll see how this all shakes out. And, you know, if the market gets the sense that 50 basis points is going to be on the table, then we could see more pain today. So that's going to be up in the air as to whether or not we actually see that. I'm not convinced that it's a guarantee. I'm also not convinced that 25 basis points is a guarantee, but I think it's more likely that 25 basis points is the consensus from these minutes. And so I don't think that there's much to get overly worried about yet until we actually hear what they have to say. Abs are, yeah, man, been back for about a month, but happy to have you back too. I'm live in the mornings. I'm live in the afternoon. I'm putting videos out all over the place. Savvy says it sounds like I caught my nads in a zipper. Yeah. Snookers, when did they announce the rate? They're not going to announce rate hikes today. It's just they're meeting minutes, so just kind of getting together, reassessing, that sort of thing. You too, Abs, but I'm looking at really not much change from the Fed at all. So, you know, with some of the data that we saw last week, there was a lot of fear surrounding around the fact that perhaps, especially when we heard from James Bullard, which, by the way, doesn't have any voting power in anything. And we heard from Loretta Mester, who said she wasn't taking 50 basis points off the table, right? So that's what's kind of put a lot of fear into the markets. And so today should be interesting to see if anyone else, including Jerome Powell, falls in line with that type of sentiment, in that, you know, the hawkish tone isn't going away, or if he takes a different path or takes the same path that he's been on, and that 25 basis points still very much in line with what they're looking to do. And so we'll see. That's kind of what the expectation is going into today's meeting. There's a lot of investors that are probably going to be on edge, just kind of waiting to see what they have to say, you know. So just checking in on some of the other comments here. All right. So Chris Edwards says, I don't understand why they have meetings about meetings. Why don't they just shut up until they make a change? That is a very good point. But it's because investors are a bunch of nervous ninnies. That's really what it is. It's not no news is good news. It's here, hold my hand. Tell me what you're doing every minute of every day. That's exactly what happens. So, anyways, so looking at some of the earnings today, one of them was TJX. Let's take a look at some of the charts. And here we go. So I actually had this pulled up. Check this out. This is a stock that I've just kind of been buying up, not really sharing it a whole lot just because I've had a lot going on, obviously, and what have you. But I actually bought this up, and it's I didn't realize they were going to go this crazy. LLAP, we'll get to TJX in a second. Terrain Orbital Group is a company that's trading at $400 million in market cap, and they just got a $2.4 billion contract. And the stock, I would say, is only up 73%. I would say it's probably going higher than that at this point. My average on this is $2.01. Looking pretty damn good right now. Anyways, if you guys want to chat about LLAP a little bit later, we can. But this is kind of one that I just kind of had flying under the radar. Didn't want to share it too much just for the just in case. But, man, this is... Holy shit, what a move. Woke up this morning and I was absolutely blown away at this. All right, looking at TJX. I still dabble in penny stocks, if you guys are out there wondering. If you want me to chat about penny stocks more often, let me know. Be happy to do that. China tells big companies not to offer ChatGPT, says Nukru. Yeah. It is what it is. YouTube's acting weird on me right now. All right, we're good. So, TJX, let's look at so right now it's down around 1%. It was down 1.25% yesterday. And it came in and actually came in line on revenue and in line on earnings per share, beat revenue by $450 million. So they came in at 89 cents, earnings per share, revenue of $14.52 billion. That is a solid beat. That's 4.8% growth year over year for a retail company like TJX. That's not bad at all. Q4 fiscal year 2023, U.S. comp store sales increased 4%, well above the company's plan versus a 13% U.S. open-only comp store sales increase last year. Comp store sales at Marmax increased, that's Marshalls and TJ Maxx, increased 7%, driven by very strong sales of apparel and accessories categories, but the stock is down. And I don't think it should be, to be honest with you. Nothing about this, I would say, is a warning to anybody. I mean, even the adjusted diluted earnings per share for guidance for fiscal year 2024, $3.29 to $3.41 versus the $3.14 that was expected. I don't really see anything that's all that bad about this stock at all. And so I would say don't be surprised if TJX ends up green today. I know this isn't a sexy stock. I'm aware of that. But this is something that I think is I would just pay attention to. You know what's sexy? Making money is sexy. And yeah, it's a clothing company. It's TJX, right? Your grandpa probably talking about it, but guess what grandpa's doing? Probably making money. I mean, look at that chart. If I gave you this chart, didn't give you the ticker symbol, would you be like, damn, that's a good chart? Probably. I would say so. This is your weekly chart. Since July, TJX has been on fire. And it should continue on fire. Excuse me. So that is TJX. Just to give you a few more tidbits of information on them moving forward. The forward PE on this is at 25 times next year's earnings, which is a bit expensive, but given the industry that it's in and the growth that we're seeing, that's actually really good. You know, it's expensive for sure, but for a company that's growing in the retail space like this, that is not bad at all. And they are, the profitability is there, 34, almost 35% gross profit margin, and yeah, it's barely moved this year since year to date, but over the last year, it's outperformed the S&P 500. It's up 21% over the last 52 weeks. TJX still going to be a stock to own, I think, if you're creating a decent portfolio for the long term and even in the intermediate term. Moving on, WingStop came in and reported earnings today as well. Let's take a look at that chart. Pull that up. And this has had a hell of a comeback, too, from its May lows and potentially double topping here. So we'll have to be careful with where this actually ends up. But they had a pretty decent year over the last year, up 18.5% over the last 52 weeks. Year to date, it's up 25% almost. And they came in, and I believe we're still waiting on those earnings. Yeah? Let me just double check. I thought they should have come out. Hold on. Seeking Alpha let me down here a little bit. Maybe. Yeah, why is it not on Seeking Alpha? Well, I just found it. Okay. So WingStop, they came in, GAAP earnings per share of 60 cents. They beat by 19. Revenue came in at 104.9 million. They beat that by 3.94 million. So great. Company is reaffirming its 3 to 5 year outlook of mid-single digit domestic same-store sales growth, approximately 240 global net new units. SG&A of between 82 to 84 million. Stock-based compensation expense between 11 to 12.5 million. Depreciation and amortization between 14 and 15 million. We'll take a look here, and the stock is on absolute fire. It's up 13% and climbing right now. I mean, holy shitballs. There we go. Man, what a move on WingStop. Neiman Dog says, I am a grandpa. Sexy AF grandpa. You're damn right. You're damn right I am. But guys, you know, looking at over this entire earnings season so far and just kind of digesting everything that's taken place, what this tells you, at least to me for now, is that the consumer is still very strong, despite rate hikes, despite recession fears, despite some of the layoffs that we've seen. It seems as if outlooks, for the most part, are pretty good. We've seen some warning signs from a few companies, but by and large, pretty good. Earnings are coming in and beating at an average of around 6% above expectations from the street. So it's really not bad. And WingStop just told you that now. I mean, they smashed earnings, and their outlook was also great. Reaffirming their guidance. Revenue is up 45.6% year over year from a wing restaurant. Anybody ever been to a WingStop, by the way? They're damn good wings for a chain. Snooker said there's so many companies with earnings today. Yes, there are. The big one obviously is going to be NVIDIA. And of course, we'll be back this afternoon. We can react to a lot of that stuff. But yeah, there's a ton today. Not really a whole lot this morning. Baidu, Fiverr, Wix, Overstock are this morning, and we can cover a couple of those. But the real big ones today are this afternoon. NVIDIA, Lucid, Unity, Etsy, Teladoc. Dutch Bros, near and dear to my heart is Dutch Bros. I really actually like Dutch Bros a lot, even though the stock hasn't performed quite what I would have hoped it would. But Dutch Bros, I'm actually the most excited for over Nvidia. Yes, I'm that excited about it. Of course, it's trading 248 times next year's earnings, and it's up 40% year to date. But they're growing like crazy. I mean, absolutely craziness. So I'm looking forward to that. So the market's officially open right now. I'm looking at the indexes. S&P's up slightly. Dow's up slightly. Yeah, not a whole lot of movement still, and except for from the Qs. Let's take a look at the Qs right now. We are seeing some movement there. Pretty decent bump in the Qs right now. It's up around 0.5%. It's at 48 points is the NASDAQ. And looking like we're trying to move above the pre-market high here. Checking back in with Palo Alto. We reacted to this last night. That stock's now up 11%. My goodness. That stock is on fire right now. And the company's on fire. And they're going to be on fire for the next 10 years. Just a heads up. You didn't miss the boat on Palo Alto. Come out and look at the weekly chart. Sitting at 185 right now. Let's look at the weekly. And it's well above this resistance that I had marked for it around 178. And clearly now breaking out of its downward trend on the weekly chart. I mean, you can't get more. You can't. That breakout is ridiculous. Let's look at this. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks we're going on of nothing but green. You bought Palo Alto 2 months ago at 132. You'd be sitting pretty right now. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy, Palo Alto. We did cover Coinbase last night, too. Taking a look at Coinbase, and that's up 3.5%. What a wild night yesterday. Wild night last night when we were reacting to this. Look at this volatility that we saw on Coinbase. Now finally it's starting to move up. And honestly, Coinbase, the earnings weren't great. So I really couldn't tell you why it's moving up like this. It's up 85, 90% since the beginning of the year. And I really couldn't tell you why, other than the fact that Bitcoin's up. But even the move on Bitcoin hasn't been a ton of volume. There's your Bitcoin chart. It's actually red today. But, the trading volume with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general hasn't been all that fantastic. But so there's where Bitcoin is right now. It's at 24,000. It keeps knocking on the door at 25K, which is a resistance for it. You can see that there. I would venture to say it looks a little bit more like a bearish flag on Bitcoin than anything. So just be careful with that. But yeah. Coinbase still rolling. That's looking good. Palo Alto is looking good after yesterday's earnings. Now it's up 12%. Jesus Christ almighty. Toll Brothers came in. They also beat earnings. Actually, I'll have to go back and check. I think they beat revenue, missed on earnings. Diamondback Energy also reported, and they are looking pretty damn good. I mean, lots of really positive movement here this morning on a lot of things. The Qs still trying to hang on to some green. Let's take a look at SPY right now. Still trying to hang on some green there too. But we'll see how this shakes out. I'll come back this afternoon, of course, and hang out with you guys for the reaction. Nima Dog, can you look at Google's chart for us at 91.84 right now? Yes, I can take a look at the chart, and I actually talked about this. I felt very bearish on Alphabet at 90 once it broke below 96. So 96 was a very important area, and I said if it broke below 96, that it was going to be rough, and that $85, $86 could be on the table. $92 is where it's sitting at right now. I think it's certainly still a very high probability that we see this go down into the 80s, because right now Alphabet appears to be in a bit of no man's land. I don't really see an area on the weekly chart anyway, or this is the daily chart. Sorry, the daily chart. I don't really see anywhere on the daily chart that I really like it. I guess technically you could see it come down to maybe 91.30 and see if it holds a very light support there, but I think the strong support is going to be all the way down to 86, unfortunately, and I don't see what holds it up or keeps it from going and retesting that area. The reason why I said 96 was because of the clear support that we saw there, and it was just below, I think it was just at the weekly. Yeah, it was at the 200-week moving average was also at 96. So you can see it's clear support there. But then also that 200-week moving average was almost like a double whammy for it from a technical perspective. And so I don't really like Alphabet right now. Not to say I don't like it long term. And if I bought it here and looked at it 10 years from now, I'm going to make money on it. But if you're looking to maybe time it a little bit, I would probably wait a while just to see if it falls back down into the 80s. Because I think that's probably a likely scenario. Let me know what you guys think about that. Are you guys waiting for Alphabet too? Have you been buying on the way down? Do you not care what's happening with Alphabet right now? And you're just hanging on for the long term? We'll love to hear from you guys. Checking back in on WingStop. Let's look at the 5-minute, and it is still on fire. It's up 13.25%. Looks like it was up as much as around 15% right out of the gate. Man, what a strong move on that. Unbelievable. That's crazy. I mean, how many restaurants are growing their revenue 45% year over year right now? Probably not many. I mean, those earnings were fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. You got it, Nemo Dog. All right. So let's break it up a little bit. I'm trying to think about how I want to do this. Anybody hear about this mysterious metal ball that washed up on a beach in Japan? This is the weird news. Your weird news of the day. Some mysterious large metal ball washed up on a beach in Japan. And the object's appearance on the coastline of, I'm going to butcher this, Hamamatsu? No, that's right. I didn't. I got that. Hamamatsu City prompted the police to scramble the bomb squad, but close examination showed there was no immediate threat. X-ray technology revealed the ball to be hollow, as fears were a stray that it was possibly a mine. Were quickly dismissed. I'll share this with you because I thought this was interesting. It was a weird news of the day. I'm gonna let's see here. Here it is. So let's move. I have the picture. Hold on a second. We'll just zoom this out a little bit. Boom. Okay. So look at this thing. It's kind of weird. Kind of weird looking. There's the ball. What did you think if that just showed up on your beach randomly? Nobody's been able to figure out where the ball came from. Of course, people are speculating that perhaps their UFO dropped it off. But I probably would have thought that it was a mine. Kind of weird. Kind of weird. That's your weird news of the day. Feel like I got to get better at the weird news of the day. I mean, that was okay, right? It's weird. There's no disputing that it's weird. But, anyways, let me know what you guys think about that. Should I just do away with the weird news of the day? Do you like the weird news of the day? I'm trying to experiment, always thinking about interesting stuff to talk about. Maybe breaking up the stock market chat for a little bit and getting back to it. Make sure you guys are still awake. That sort of thing. Came from the same island as the prisoner, says Savvy Money Show. Yeah. I'll refine that and I'll get better at it, I promise. Okay. So let's do a little preview of what we have looking forward to tonight, this afternoon. So, as mentioned, NVIDIA has earnings today, after hours. Expected earnings per share for NVIDIA are at 80 cents per share, $6.02 billion in revenue is expected. And the street's kind of split on this. 3 upward revisions to 2 down. This is trading now at 63 times next year's earnings. And I'm sorry for all of you NVIDIA fans out there, but this stock is overvalued. I love NVIDIA just as much as the next person. The stock's up 1.3% today. And if you are long on NVIDIA, just know that you're holding on to a stock that's overvalued. In Brad's opinion, of course. Doesn't mean that you have to sell it. I'm not telling you what to do. But I just think it's way overvalued. They are growing like crazy, absolutely. But I'm not spending 63 times next year's earnings on a stock that's growing their revenue at 17% year over year. I just got done telling you that WingStop's growing faster than that. And I know that's not an apples to apples comparison, but you understand what I'm saying, right? Like, I would much rather pay a premium for a company like Palo Alto, for example, that has 30% year over year growth. That's projected 30% year over year growth for the next 10 years. That's something that I would be okay with paying a premium on, depending on where it was sitting, of course. But 63 times next year's earnings for NVIDIA? What are we doing? This has a lot of risk attached to it right now. And if you are holding on to it for the long term, I'm not talking about you guys, but if you're holding on to it thinking you're going to flip it for a quick buck, I would just say be careful. And I mean, how many of you guys are actually in NVIDIA or have had these similar thoughts? But I just think it's overvalued right now. There's a lot of competition right now. I mean, we saw AMD reported a few weeks ago and Intel reported a few weeks ago. There's just not a lot to be excited about. Maybe NVIDIA bucks the trend. Obviously, data center revenue is going to be huge for them. That's going to be front and center. We saw huge data center growth from AMD, and I would venture to say that NVIDIA's data center revenue is more heavily weighted for them. So that would be something that I would probably look towards. If they crush that, the stock will probably be okay. But man, look at this. It's now up 2% and climbing in anticipation of today's earnings. That's just crazy to me. And I love NVIDIA. I think the company is absolutely fantastic. They're going to be the next $1 trillion company. I think so. I think they're going to be the next $1 trillion company. Right now, they have a market cap of $500 billion. So they got a long ways to go. But I do think that they will be a $1 trillion company. I don't know if that happens this year at 63 times next year's earnings. And they've always been expensive, right? I mean, it wasn't until just recently, within the last 6 months, they came down and had the lowest valuation they've ever had. And even then, it was at 28 times next year's earnings, if you can believe that. Over the last 52 weeks, the stock's down 10%, and year to date, it's up 47%. Now, it's going to be up 50% by the time it's all said and done today, it looks like. Year to date. That is Craziness. So I'm going to talk about this a little bit more this afternoon, but I thought that I would just kind of catch your attention on this on NVIDIA and let me know what you guys think about it, because I'm I'm really kind of torn. Like, I don't want to just sit here and poo-poo on NVIDIA because I love the company and I think NVIDIA is amazing. But for them to be up 63 times next year's earnings, I just think it's awfully dangerous to own it up here. Danny Alvarado. Bro, thanks so much, man. Sharing the Palo Alto network calls gains. Yeah, hell yeah, man. Thanks, bro. Appreciate you. Thanks for that. That means a lot. All right. Next, this afternoon, what else do we have to look forward to? We got Lucid, of course. That's not going to do well either, I don't think. Lucid. Lots of short interest on this, though. 22.5% is the short interest on Lucid. Appreciate the donate, Danny Alvarado. You're a real one, my man. You know what I was thinking too? Like, and I don't like to compare myself to anybody else. I'm gonna pause on Lucid real quick, just because Danny Alvarado just wanted to shout you out again. I appreciate you. But you know, as a YouTube creator, I look up to and I admire other creators, right? In the space or outside of stocks, you know, one of my favorite, it's so crazy. One of my favorite YouTubers to watch is Dr. Disrespect and Tim the Tap Man. Those two guys, like, they've figured it out. They've somehow figured out how to be so entertaining that people throw money at them. And I know that I can be an entertaining person. I'm just like, how does that happen? And I've been studying them for so long. Obviously, it's difficult to apply gaming and that type of entertainment to this, which, hey, listen, if that's not the case, somebody tell me. And somebody give me that feedback. But man, I look at those guys and I'm like, that is so crazy. So, I mean, Danny Alvarado just prompted me to think about that, but I appreciate that, man. And I think about that a lot, you know, like, man, wouldn't it be so cool one day? I'm just sitting here just talking about stocks, and that also happens, right? Like, I just have this huge community that tunes in and we just shoot the shit and we have a great time. We have fun. We talk stocks, make some money, and do that every day. That's the best job in the world. I have the best job in the world right now, even with having a small channel. It's so amazing to be able to connect with people from all over the globe. It really is. Anyways, rant over. We'll get back to Lucid. Lucid's going to shit the bed today, more than likely, unless they come in and walk over these earnings that where the bar's been set pretty low. All right, so they'd have to really do something bad. A loss of 40 cents is expected. $273 million in revenue is expected. Last time around, they came in and missed earnings pretty badly. The expectation there was also 40 cents, and they came in at 31. A loss of 49 cents. They beat revenue last time around, but the bar's been set pretty high here. Last time around, actual revenue came in at around $199 million, and the expectation this quarter is $273 million. So also a bit scary. But again, if they come in and at least do somewhat well on those earnings, the shorts could start covering here. 22.5% short interest is pretty high. So I wouldn't want to be a holder of Lucid here, one way or the other. I don't think I'd want to be short. I wouldn't want to be long on it either. Hit that thumbs up if you're enjoying the stream so far. I'd certainly appreciate it. So there's NVIDIA, Lucid, and unless Lucid announces ChatGPT in their car, says Savvy Money Show. Yeah, no shit. We take a look at some other stocks that are reporting this afternoon. Unity Software also reporting. They could do well. I don't know where their valuation is right now. What are they valued at? Let's see here. Let's pull up U. Ticker symbol U. That stock's up 2.5%. Are they Qs? Qs are on fire right now, aren't they? It's up 0.5%, so they're not. I wouldn't say it's on fire, but okay. Interesting move there. Unity Software up 2.5% this morning. Earnings are expected to come in at 1 cent, $438.23 million in revenue. Now, last time they came around and beat on the normalized estimate and then missed on GAAP and then missed on revenue. And the stock didn't perform well after that. But it's down 61% this year, even though it's up it's down 61% over the last 52 weeks, even though it's up 40% year to date. Short interest on this is also pretty decently, it's also pretty high. It's sitting at 12% short interest with a market cap of $14.7 billion. I think some of the software solutions and some of the AI chatter could end up moving Unity. So keep an eye on that. I like Unity as well. I think Unity is going to do fine. We take a look at the weekly chart. Obviously, hasn't been pretty. $210 was its all-time high that we saw back in November of 21. If we all remember where tech in general was, then that was the peak. But this is your weekly chart, and the 50-week moving average is getting quite close to this. So if Unity Software comes in, does well, we see a move over that 50-week moving average, I think the momentum could certainly continue. We could certainly also see a pretty decent trend forming here as well. It looks like the bottom was clearly at 21.22 back in December of this year. So I think that this is going to be something certainly to watch for today. That's an exciting one. We have Etsy, of course, as well. That stock reports this afternoon. And the e-commerce space has been a bit all over the place. No, I did not mean to rhyme that. Looking at the 5-minute chart. God, I'm such a child. 2.5% is where it's sitting at up today. Earnings are expected to come in $1.12. $752.12 million is the expected revenue. Last time they came around and crushed earnings. And there's potential for them to do that again. The growth is okay. 11% year-over-year growth on revenue. They're guiding 16% year-over-year growth, so that could be okay. I mean, when you look at how this company grew over the pandemic, like a lot of the e-commerce stocks and what have you, you're not going to see that type of growth again, ever. And honestly, the short interest on this is actually pretty high too. 10% short interest. Over the last year, it's outperformed the S&P 500. And that's with, a lot happening to tech. Over the last 52 weeks, it's up 5.22%. Year to date, it's up 12%. So modest gains compared to the rest of the market for the most part. And it's just trucking along. I like Etsy here. Considering we've seen some pretty strong numbers from the consumer in general, I would be surprised to see Etsy really shit the bed here. Not to say that they can't or they won't. I just would be surprised if they did. I like Etsy a lot. I like the company. I like what they're doing. Nima Dog says Unity is a good company. Yes, they are. Danny Alvarado, I got into Palo Alto about 2 years ago when you mentioned it on your channel. Up nicely with those shares. I bet you are. Over the last 2 years, Palo Alto is best in class. It's Palo Alto and CrowdStrike for me in as far as cybersecurity goes. But that's good to hear, man. I appreciate that. And let's see, over the last 5-year performance on this, it's up 237%. And over the last 2 years, I mean, it's up quite a bit too. So that makes me feel good. Making a difference, man. Chris Edwards says, I gave up on Unity as there were so many errors with management. You're not wrong on that. The growth, though, is where I think could start to move the stock again. And, okay, so I'll take a look at one more that's reporting here. And I can't let us go without talking about Dutch Bros. If you guys have not looked at Dutch Bros, just do yourself a solid and take a look at Dutch Bros. This is a stock that's trading at 248 times next year's earnings. And yes, I am not crazy to like a stock that's up that high. It's expensive, okay? I'm not going to shy away from that. It's expensive AF. Year to date, the stock's up 38% over the last year. It's still, over the last 52 weeks, it's down 22%. So, obviously fell on high valuation with interest rates coming into play here. Earnings expected to come in at 6 cents, $196.44 million, and 2 upward revisions. Last time around, they came in and beat and announced amazing growth. This is valued at $6.11 billion. And like I said, I am not shying away from the fact that it's expensive. $6.1 billion valuation on a company that's bringing in less than $1 billion a year. So take that for what you will. But they are opening up stores all over the damn place. Like, they are growing like crazy. Not only are they growing, it's not a grow at all costs anymore. It used to be for them, but now they're profitable. And they're growing like insane. The estimated earnings per share is expected to grow 200% year over year. The revenue is expected to grow 40% year over year. This is a coffee shop, and not even this is a coffee shop you can't even walk into. It's just a drive-up coffee shop. Over the last year, Dutch Bros has beaten earnings estimates 25% of the time and has beaten revenue 100% of the time because they're just growing like crazy. So this is a company that I'm super excited about. Their stores, I believe they're planning on growing, like, it's something insane. 33,000 stores or 4,000 stores over the next, I think, 4 years or so, 4 or 5 years. People think that's crazy talk. I don't think so. Not the way that they're growing. Nemo Dog says, "What should I have known you 5 years ago?" I've been on YouTube for 6 years. We're year number 6. Trial says Dutch Bros is awesome. Bodie Beard says they're better than Starbucks. There isn't a Dutch Bros here on the East Coast. I feel like, once I get myself in a better situation, I need to start making some trips. That was another thing that I thought about doing for the channel. And, that's pie in the sky stuff for whenever things grow again and what have you. But, I always thought the concept would be cool of everybody talks about doing due diligence, but if you do due diligence on the ground, boots on the ground, right? That would make for some good content. Like, if I'm going to Dutch Bros and I'm talking to the company and kind of like taking a Jim Cramer approach, but not just talking to CEOs, but actually doing due diligence within the stores, right? And having like that fundamental analysis approach. I think that would make for good content. Get some good vlogs that way. But that brings it to the end of the stream today, guys. And I appreciate you guys tuning in. And I'll be back this afternoon at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time to react to all those other earnings. And appreciate that, Snookeroo. And I can't wait for this. Of course, I didn't forget birthdays today. So don't leave just yet because we got to celebrate birthdays. Drew Barrymore's 47 years old. Now I feel old. Steve Irwin's birthday today is today. Steve Irwin's birthday is today. Rest in peace. He would have been 61. Isn't that crazy? He'd have been 61 years old. Let's see here. Julie Walters is 72. Julius Erving is 72. Basketball player. If you guys don't know who he is, shame on you. Michael Johnston is 27. And we can't forget, this is a big birthday in adult entertainment, by the way. Jenna Hayes. And let me just tell you, Jenna Hayes is 41 years old today. And let me just tell you, when I had to go through these titles to try to figure out what to put on here, she has quite the list. It took me a good 20 minutes to get through this list for Jenna Hayes. But Jenna Hayes is best known for titles such as Sexual Blacktivity, Alexis Texas is Butt Woman, Casting Couch, I mean, I had to put that in there. Nymphetamine is what she's. And then, of course, I couldn't give up Stormy Daniels' Calm Before the Storm. What a collaboration that would have been. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you this afternoon at 3:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Hit that notification bell, and enjoy the rest of your day. See you this afternoon. Love you guys.